All right, let's go back real quick here. Law of cosines. So here's our triangle, and we're trying to solve for angle x. So there's law of cosines. Plugged everything in, and now we're ready to solve for x. All right. So the first thing we do is we subtract 11 squared and we subtract 12 squared. That'll get rid of it here, get rid of it here. But we have to do it to the other side as well. All right, just like that. Everybody with me so far? Now I have to get rid of the negative 2, the 11, and the 12. They're all being multiplied, correct? So how do you get rid of something that's being multiplied? You divide. See how easy this is? 12. And that's equal to the cosine of x, isn't it? X. So how do we get x by itself? Take the what? Inverse cosine. Let's just kind of squeeze it in here. Is that all right? Inverse cosine of that whole thing. All right, so that gets rid of the cosine. Make sense? 3 steps and you're done. That wasn't too hard, was it? Okay, now, using the calculator, that's probably harder than any of this stuff right here. So let's do this. I'm going to put a parentheses here first. Remember what I gave you a suggestion yesterday? Let's make it a little bit bigger. Watch. Remember I said put a parentheses here and here, and then put a parentheses here and here. All right, it's just a suggestion. Now, if you have a TI 30 XA, you probably don't need that first set of parentheses right here. Just hit 16 squared minus 11 squared minus 12 squared, hit equals, all right, and then divide. Then you really do need the parentheses, all right? Put the parentheses here, put all that in, close the parentheses, hit equals, hit second function cosine, and then that's your answer, all right? Don't you miss any other classes besides this? So where were we? Calculator, right? So let's put it in here. So I'm going to put, I have that first parentheses, and I'm going to go 16 squared minus 11 squared minus 12 squared. Close that parentheses, hit divide, make another parentheses. Now I'm going to put all the bottom stuff. Negative 2 times 11 times 12. Close that parentheses, hit equals, and then I got this number right here. Then I hit second function cosine, right? Second function cosine of my answer on this calculator. Got to put that in there. And then equals, and there it is. 88. And this is an angle, so we round it to the nearest degree. It's 0.0, so it's just 88. So x is, oh, it's all fat, is 88 degrees. There we go. So if you're using a TI 30, again, what do? 16 squared minus 11 squared minus 12 squared equals. Got to hit equals. I don't know if you really have to or not. The divide might actually equal them all up. I'm not sure. But just to be safe, I always hit equals. Then you hit divide. Then you put a left parentheses. I think that's important. Then you hit negative 2 times 11 times 12. Close it with a right parentheses. Hit equals. And you'll get that 0.0 whatever number. 0.03409. You should get that. Then you just hit second function cosine, and you should get this right away. Did you get it this time?
Yeah, I didn't put the parentheses around the second.
Okay, yeah. On that TI 30, it's really important that you put the parentheses around here and here. Okay? Because if you don't, it's doing something different. What it's doing is taking that whole answer and it's dividing it by negative 2, and then it's taking that answer and multiplying it by 11 and multiplying it by 12, and that's not really what you want to do. You want to divide it by all of this. So you kind of have to be a little smarter than the calculator and tell it what to do in the right order and that kind of thing. Okay? Now, Jen, on your calculator, you would pretty much do it the way that I did it up here. Would you agree? Kind of. It depends.
Sure.
And there's other ways you could do this. There is other ways you could do this. I mean, you could sit there and figure out what 16 squared is and write that number down. Figure out what 11 squared is, write it down. 12 squared, write it down. But that would be a hassle, don't you think? Nicholas, don't you think it would be? Okay. Did you try this way after talking to me about that yesterday? Yeah. I think it's easier just to put it all in one shot. As long as you know what you're doing and you practice. Make sure you practice and you get down a routine so you know what you're doing. Make sure that you use the calculator when you're doing your homework that you're going to use on the test. You hear me? Don't use a calculator on your homework and know how to do it and then show up for a test and borrow somebody else's that's a different calculator and it doesn't work the same way as yours does. Make sure that you use the calculator that you're going to use on the test. Okay? All right. You going to do another one?
Yeah,
I didn't
14.
get it.
14? Christian, what'd you say?
I didn't get
You
it.
still didn't get it? What calculator are you using?
The TI 30.
Okay, well, punch these numbers in. 16 squared, minus 11 squared, minus 12 squared. And then hit equals. You got it? Okay, hit divide. Hit left parentheses. Okay, hit -2. Now, do you know how to hit -2 on yours? Yeah, I think you actually have to hit a 2, and then there's a, is it a plus, minus, or something like that? Is that what it is? Okay, so you hit that, then you hit times 11, times 12, then you hit a right parentheses. Hit equals. Now you should have 0.03409, right? Okay, and then you hit second function cosine. So what weren't you doing? Were you not using your parentheses, right?
I wasn't hitting equals after the top part.
Yeah. Yep, you do this, you hit equals, you hit divide, you do all this, then you hit equals again, then you hit second function cosine. We good? Okay, let's do another one. Which one are we doing? 14? Okay. Let's change colors here. Alright, let's check out 14 then. There we go. So it looks like that, something like that. Close enough. And 28, 26, and 30. Is that right? I think it is. 14? Yep, and we're trying to find x, which is this one down here. Same exact problem, isn't it? Except different numbers? Yeah. So, let's do this. Let's write it down. Watch what I'm doing. Write the log cosines down so you don't forget. What am I doing? C squared equals a squared plus b squared minus what? 2ab cosine of c. Everybody good? Alright. We're solving for this. So that's the c. So what's little c? It's 30, isn't it? Okay, because it's opposite the angle that I'm trying to find. So it's 30 squared equals, doesn't matter what order you put these two in, minus 2 times 26 times 28 times the cosine of x. Alright, same exact situation. Just doing it one more time. Let's do the math. Ready? Watch how quick we can do this. This is not that hard at all. Subtract 26 squared. Subtract 28 squared. Right? Got rid of that. Then get rid of these three right here. Divide it by -2 times 26 times 28. Okay. Now, if I want to get x by itself, what am I going to do to this? Take the inverse cosine of all this stuff right there. And that's what x is equal to. We can put equals x. See how simple that was? It really wasn't that hard, was it? Doing the math? Okay, well, it's probably because we're not using our calculator correctly. So, on this calculator, what do? 30. Oops. I need a parentheses, don't I? So, remember what I'm going to do? I want to put a parentheses right here and right here on my calculator, and then right here and right here. So the yellow is what I'm actually putting in myself. Make sense? Yep. Well, let's do this first. Minus, oops, I forgot the square, didn't I? Girls, you're paying attention, right? Doesn't seem like you are. So, okay, didn't ask that. Asked if you're paying attention. Callie, are you kidding me? I asked you to pay attention, so you pay attention. That's what you need to do. It doesn't matter if you know how to do it already. You still pay attention. I already know how to do it, so I don't have to pay attention. That's funny. Times 26 times 28 parentheses. Do you see it? I put both of those in parentheses just like I did with the yellow right here. And then what do? Hit equals, right? So that's that whole thing right here. Now what do I do to that number? Take the inverse cosine. So I hit inverse cosine. On this calculator I got to hit answer. But on your TI-30s, once you get this number, you hit inverse cosine, boom, you're done. You got your answer. I got to do this though on this one. Times? What? No, once you get that 0.346, you just hit second function cosine. I never said hit times on that. Hit second function cosine and you'll get your answer if you have a TI 30. Alright, and then hit answer, and there it is. It's 67.3. Does that round it up? Nope. It's just 67. Remember, they want the angles in the nearest degree, not any decimals. That's it. Is that the answer I gave you? Yep. That's all there is to it.
How do I do it on my calculator? So try and go to put inverse cosine.
Like at the beginning?
No, like after I already found
Do you have a thing for answer? I'm not sure. You might just hit. I don't know. Let me look at it afterward because I'll be done in a minute here and I'll take a look at it. All right, what calculator are you using? 10. So you're using a graphing calculator? All right, we'll do it just exactly the way I did it. Do you have it in degrees? Go to mode. Is it in degrees?
Yeah.
It is? Well, you did. Oh, what happened there? I don't know. You did something. Then you didn't do it exactly like I did. If you did it exactly like I did it, you should get this answer. I'll just show you where you hit a wrong button. I mean, look, do you have all this? Do you have that first parentheses? 30 squared minus 26 squared minus 28 squared. Then another parentheses. Then divide. You have division sign?
Yeah.
Okay, parentheses. Negative 2
Yeah.
times 26 times 28. Close parentheses. You got all that? Did you hit enter and get this number, 0.384? Did you get that number at all?
for which one?
Did you get that 0.384 after you hit enter? Okay. Hit second function cosine.
You took the square root of it. You know,
Oh.
that and then
Yeah, it's not squared. It's inverse cosine. It said error. Which calculator are you using? Let me see it. Using that? I'll have to look at that in a second, that calculator. What is
That's
that?
the one I got.
TI 30X, what, 2S or something like that? Okay. I'll have to look at that because I'm not real familiar with that
I
calculator.
mean, you
So
can do it exactly like how you do it on yours.
yeah, it should be. I mean, don't you have like a an answer?
Yeah, you got
Thing.
the second function.
Did you ever get this, Jen? Did you get that 0.3846?
Yeah, I just can't do the
Then you hit
inverse thing.
hit second function cosine.
I would go. Let's go.
You have to hit. Yeah, it's a weird way to get to it.
Whoa, where'd your trig functions go?
It's right. You have to.
So what'd you say, Kenny? Number 10?
Trig.
You have to go over
Let's do number 10.
You hit, I hit enter.
what?
You hit second. Enter.
You were square rooting. It, where'd you,
All right, let's look at number 10.
yeah.
All right, finally, we're doing one that we're not doing an angle, so this will be a little bit different. So did you figure it out?
Yeah.
Oh man, you're a
Thank you.
very well, son.
Jen, show Rayvon how to do that.
okay.
34,
Get this.
29, and X. All right, here we go. Let's write down the formula again. See, look, you do this every time, you'll have this thing memorized and you'll never forget it the rest of your life. Well, I don't know if I go that far, but... Okay, so let's see. Our angle is 111, right? So what's our c, our little c? It's x. So I'm going to write x squared equals... Now the a and b are my other two sides. So I go 29 squared plus 34 squared minus 2 times a times b, which is 29 and 34, times the cosine of the angle, which is 111 degrees. So now we don't have to do any algebra, do we? It's just a matter of putting this into our calculator. But there's a key. There's a key to using the calculator here. Watch. It's this. Put a parentheses right there and right there. Okay, because you're subtracting this whole entire product.
So,
All right, because if you didn't, you would go minus 2, and then it would probably give you an answer, and then you would take that thing and then times it by 2934. That's not what you're doing here. Algebraically, you've got to put that whole thing in parentheses. So see what's in yellow? You have to put those parentheses in your calculator.
so negative
So try it now.
times 29.
So it's 29 squared plus 34 squared minus, and then I put a parentheses. And now I go 2 times 29 times 34 Now, on my calculator, I don't have to hit times. All I got to do is hit cosine of 111. Now, watch what I did. I just closed that parentheses with the 111, but then I got to close this parentheses right here. So I do that. So I have two parentheses right next to each other. Do you see that? Okay, and then I hit equals. Now, that's not my answer, is it? It's 2703. That's not my answer. There's no way that length is 2,704. Would you agree? There's no way that's 2,703. So I got to square root it, right? Because x squared is equal to all this. So I got to get x, so I square root everything. So I take, now this time I do square root. Scrap on this one, you are going to square root. Square root the answer, right? And then there it is. So on this, you round it to the nearest tenth, correct? So this actually, the tenth actually goes to a 0, doesn't it? So it's 52.0. So x, yeah, you might not have to. I do, just to be careful with this. All right, you may get away with not using this. Let's just try it for fun and see. You could square root at the beginning. On the TI-30 though, I wouldn't. Well, you could put square root then a parentheses and put all that in there. But I would just put all this stuff in here and hit squared at the end. To me, that just makes more sense. I kind of grew up using the TI-30 style of putting numbers in. So I always like to do this stuff first and then square root at the end. All right? You got to put minus.
But like, do you have to put a negative after the minus?
No, this is not negative. If you put the minus, you already took care of the minus. Now this is a positive 2. It's in parentheses like this. Okay? Just make sure you know how to work your calculator. All right? It takes a lot of practice. Some of you guys are sitting there doing nothing, and I'm not going to name names, but you know, I'm not. I don't think I need to. But you're going to come up on a quiz and a test and not have a clue what's going on. And you think that sitting here just talking and watching is Rayvon, you. Right? So, but listen, you play along here, okay? This is fun. You get to use a little calculator, punch some stuff in, and make sure you're getting the right answers, all right? So let's do this thing. All right. Enough of that. I'm going to give you one more worksheet to practice this stuff. This worksheet covers law of sines and law of cosines. I'm not positive about this, but I think they kind of mix them up. You have to look at the problem and figure out, do I use the law of sines or do I use the law of cosines? Okay? Well, it just depends on the situation. Alright, so anyway, that's it. So it's going to be, let me write this down. It's going to be, well, you can have one angle. You can have one. But you got to have, you can have one angle, but then you got to know, then if you're finding like another angle, you got to know the side that's opposite that angle. So yeah, you can just know one angle to do the law of sines. So anyway, look at it. Worksheet, it's going to be section 8.6, and this one is page 39. Alright, so that's what is due tomorrow. So get that done tonight. And then we move on after this. Alright, this is all we're going to do with the law of sines and law of cosines.